insights and potential use cases of Web3 stack, particularly in DeSci in LATAM. I'm from Mexico. I'm a Coral Reef researcher. So I have been exploring DeSci and Web3 since a couple of years ago, like 5 years ago. So I just ended my master's and tried to figure out how can I onboard properly to the space. Colleagues, basically. So we're quite eager to regenerate coral reef conservation in terms of decision making, involving stakeholders for better coordination, using Web3 and DeSci. So I will present some insights regarding this topic. So it was quite interesting because last year I just presented this initiative to Web3 communities during ETHDenver. So right now we're a nonprofit. Our approach is going to be one of the DeSci DAOs in terms of coral reef conservation. Particularly right now we're working in Mesoamerica, but we have some insights for everywhere, because coral reefs are basically in subtropics and tropics. So essentially we have an interesting audience. We have been supported by many well-known communities in this space, like Gitcoin, Greenpill, Optimism, Givet, and many of these guys probably are here somewhere. So right now, this is interesting because this is an interesting topic. This is a particular use case. We have been exploring the socioecological system of coral reefs since decades as researchers. And these are basically the global threats that these ecosystems have. They're quite impacted by cyclones, by sea temperature, by ocean acidification. And the particular thing that we have here is coral reef. A coral reef is basically the unit of this ecosystem. So essentially, these ecosystems provide goods and services to many people, involved in this system. So, in terms of shoreline protection, tourism and recreation, fisheries, and basically is the lives and property businesses. Usually this ecosystem thrive with people, everywhere. So essentially we're creating and prototyping this product. It's called MesoReef, and we have our headquarters is based in Mexico, in Telchac. We have an extension there with a research center, and we have like 6 hectares there to develop this prototype, and basically, explore and decentralize science in terms of coral reef restoration and conservation in many hotspots that we have just identified in the Caribbean, in Latin America. So Cozumel is one of them. Laurinburg Cay is another one. We have been done some exploration there. Cayman Crown in Guatemala, Rotan in Honduras. And basically this is our general approach, to achieve that. We need to create community, essentially. We need to implement decentralized science in a proper way with a particular use case with stakeholders, and we are quite eager to involve a little by little, this regenerative finance approach. And eventually, we believe that we need to regenerate science at a certain point. So essentially, this is our basic conservation framework, and I will explain a little bit more regarding this. We have just identified in the framework of conservation, this article was published by Brown in 2022, and in every process of conservation, we could implement tools that we know in the Web3 space. So we have been exploring this in terms of how can we leverage citizen science with stakeholders with particular use cases in the region. So I will present some exploration that we have been done. This is our main product, essentially. We want to create our leverage biotech, marine biotech, we research with some restoration with a socioecological component and essentially create a DeSci hub worldwide, because many people are quite interested to get involved, and we need to create a new coordination mechanism using these Web3 stuff, So basically, we have been prototyping since years ago, igloo-shaped modular wet labs, and we're planning to scale this using the Web3 stack that we know, in terms of on-chain metrics for potentially create new products, essentially new markets, essentially, biodiversity credits and carbon credits. That's our ultimate goal in the long run. So essentially, we have 2 prototypes, one of coral restoration and one of fish restoration, and we were eager to accelerate research, like I said before, but in terms of natural product extraction, because we have seen that in the DeSci space, many individuals are quite focusing a little bit in longevity and regeneration stuff. So we just identified our many biomolecules that we could potentially explore to create essentially to close the loop in many conservation projects, in terms of coral reefs, because we have extractive practices since decades ago, in many conservation frameworks. And essentially, our headquarters, like I said before, is in Telchac. We have a huge basement there, and we're quite planning to scale it, on the long run. So these are some prototypes that we have in terms of coral restoration. It composed by many components. Microfragmentation area, a robotic area, a waste treatment area, essentially a biobanking area. And this is basically the theory that we want to apply with on-chain analytics and Web3. As you may see, corals is a holobiont. This holobiont, essentially, we could explore what are the proper, we could explore everything, with this organism. 3D printing bionic coral, natural product characterization, extraction, and the ultimate goal for this will be close this loop in terms of conservation or restoration efforts, to close and create a really retroactive, funding this kind of tools. So essentially, the scheme that you could see in my left is basically the Reef framework that we have been just explore a little bit. And for example, we have a demand of climate action projects in Latin America, and we're quite eager to support many stakeholders that we know to onboard them properly to the space. And for example, we need to create, that's why we're here, to find and incentivize developers to explore a little bit more this regenerative approach of things, in terms of blockchain. And we believe that we need a really good accounting service in terms of off-chain data, in terms of standardization, origination, verification, data management, the things that we have been done a couple of decades ago, with all these sensors, SIGs and all this kind of stuff, IoT sensors and all that, big data. So essentially, the governance layer comes in the middle, and this is how the blockchain protocols work. You could essentially leverage this accounting to create a new market. We're quite eager, and we're quite exploring this, So these are two main areas or studies that we are quite trying to onboard a little bit into Web3 component. This article was published in Frontiers Marine Science, and we really want to create an on-chain counterpart of this particular project. This is a proof of concept, and actually we're quite supporting this initiative. And for potentially, growth coral reef fish species, and we could potentially create a market regarding this, a sustainable market. So essentially, we're quite eager to implement in every stage of this method, some Web3 components, and we're quite going on this. This is the other part regarding fish. Like I said, this is basically the model, the framework that we just created in terms of post-larvae rearing and the nursery fish area. So this is the framework that we're quite developing. We are quite developing the protocol level. Probably will be a EVM compatible technology. The governance level, we're quite working on that too. Incentive level, organization level, operational level, and the application level, the ultimate goal. Regarding our highlights that we have been done, we have been crowdfunding like 3K USD. Is nothing compared to many well-known Web3 protocols, I know. But yeah, we have been supporting with that 30 conservation actions in Latin America. We have around 60 members in our community in Discord. We have 22 months of existence, and we have been quite present in 15 Web3 and science forums, traditional science forums. And these are part of our partners. Many of our members are being quite involved in initiatives like Coral Connect, Wave of Change. This is counterpart. This is a part of Iberostar Hotel Group. Grupo Xcaret is a counterpart that we have in as a private entity. Healthy Reefs is basically charted in the US, Coral Reef Alliance too. And yeah, we are quite eager to create a socio-ecological component, with our stakeholders that we have been known since years. So this is why this was quite surprised me this year, because we are highlighted in this PhD Gens this time for a DeSci update, by MesoReef. So many of these initiatives usually have a lot of presence in the space, and we're quite eager to be selected here because, look, we're here. And we have been, like I said, we have been funding some research, traditional research, and we're quite pivoting and iterating some Web3 components in each conservation traditional framework that we have. And we have only 2 initiatives of Latin America. We have DeSci LATAM here and MesoReef DAO only. So I believe that the potential use case, in the global south is huge, in terms of regenerative finance and DeSci particularly. So this is an evaluation that we just created with some colleagues. The total addressable market in this initiative is around, the blue economy itself is around 3 trillion, if you want to see numbers of the potential use case. So coral reef ecosystem contribute 2.7 trillion annually, for a report of WWF. So the AI environmental monitoring market is projected to reach this amount of money by 2027. So essentially, our initiative is quite eager to create new opportunities to create a new wave of independent researchers in the global south, if you want to see that way. And we need that, I don't know if you have seen how's this situation in traditional science here in your country. So imagine that. In Mexico, for example, in Latin America is worse than here. So yeah, this is the serviceable available market that we have, 1.9 billion, and it's growing in terms of compound annual growth rate, like 13.2%, annually. So the refi impact investing sector, all the deep end structures and all that will be around 1 trillion by 2030. So, and basically it's quite aligned with the sustainable financial goals by the UN and other entities, the World Economic Forum and all that. So essentially, these are the serviceable obtainable market that we just evaluated. Many stakeholders have just contacted from many parts of the world, Mesoamerican Reef is one of the top, reef tracks that we have in the world. The Coral Triangle has another potential, and the Great Barrier Reef. And essentially, potentially, this will be the first ecosystems that will be quite extinct, functionally speaking. So we need to take care of them and try to build stuff, for this, It would be quite messy to see the extinction of these ecosystems by the end of the century. So yeah, and basically the key stakeholders that we were quite focusing, marine research institution, conservation organizations, public goods and Web3 communities in the DeSci space, and refi investors. So yeah, in terms of the unique positioning, we're quite eager to integrate AI, refi, and token-gated impact, with governance tokens or whatever. We're quite open to discuss that. That's why we're here, essentially. So we're planning as an NGO to be the bridge in conservation, unifying these concepts about technology, DeSci and refi. We have been quite a good traction, and you will see. These are part of our members. As you see, many of us are really good at the conservation itself of coral reefs, coral genomics, invertebrate ecology, sociological artists. We have some sociological artists involved, climate change top researchers, and yeah, coral reef ecology professors. So, and we have Antonio, that is Google and Web3 Dev, and me, that I'm quite enthusiastic with the technology itself. So these are some prototypes that we have been funding. We have just created 4 different field trips regarding the traditional frameworks that we have, and we're quite implementing, with the scholarships with the people that actually need, that are quite volunteers in our lab, and in trainings, in token-gated trainings with people. And we have these synergies with other institutions. This is part of the Xcaret program that we just support. And as researchers, we have really good impact, in some traditional research in academia, as you may see. Last year, we just did this article, in terms of reef vulnerability and bleaching in the Mesoamerican Reef. We just we're more into the theoretical aspect of things. This is a really good framework and research article regarding unifying coral reef stress through space and time. So essentially, region reefs, we're planning to scale in hotspot areas in Mesoamerica, with this approach. And we have a really good expertise on this. So this is a protocol, a treatment protocol that it was a publication regarding this. We're quite eager to put some experiments on chain, So this is quite interesting because other DeSci initiatives have been done that. that, and we're quite eager to explore a little bit. And for example, last year, personally, I just won a scholarship of DEPCON, and my mission was, okay, we need to create to people to get involved in this, but not necessarily to be quite involved in my initiative, in our initiative of MesoReef DAO, you know? Because, for example, I just wanted to explore a little bit how was the investor side of things in that area, you know? And many investors are quite aware that, you know, Southeastern Asia contains like 11 countries that depend directly of coral reef ecosystems. Singapore is an island, for example. And I just wanted to explore a little bit how's the perception regarding that, you know? And it was a really good exploration. And in terms we just present the initiatives in the DeSci Hub in DEPCON. During DEPCON, we just participate in the Visible Garden as mentors, in the Shanghanwu, in the Arrowverse too, in the Lopungs. So, and many other, you know, events. For example, this one of DeSci Bangkok by the Foresight Institute and some colleagues. And this is quite interesting because, as I said before, we have just involved a little bit in the traditional academia, you know. So we just participate as advisors, as coordinators in the Reef Futures Congress. This Reef Futures Congress is a well-known coral restoration consortium. You know, it's a congress basically. They do it every 2 years, and essentially we just participate with a workshop in DeSci. You know, we're quite focusing a little bit in researchers and in stakeholders that depends of these ecosystems. So it was really good. We just presented like 11 different papers surrounded this quite topic that we're quite researching on, and essentially, it was a good experience. And actually, we're quite endorsed by this initiative by the UN. We're part of the Decade of Restoration inside the Cozumel Coral Conservatory. And, you know, we're working with stakeholders to automatize this living structure called SOE that is based in Cozumel, you know, to implement little by little the DeSci stack, you know, this kind of conservation efforts. So this is our report, the recap that we have in 2024. Last year was quite interesting because we just explore and identify many issues that have our stakeholders, and potentially we're quite eager to do some collaborations, even with developers, even with business people. You know, we're quite open to leverage this kind of efforts, you know, to scale properly. So actually, we just participate on a series of talks by the Mexican Society of Coral Reef Ecosystems, and this chapter particularly is part of International Coral Reef Society. So essentially, we're quite making presence, you know, in the traditional field, and we believe that we need to create a hybrid model, you know, in terms of research, and how can we implement or use the DeSci stack to leverage this thing. And actually, I have not seen any POAP in this ETHDenver. So we have a POAP here for our initiative. If you're quite, or if you identify and you love these coral reef ecosystems, we just have this special POAP for you during this event. So I think that's all for me. So contact us and reach us if you want to build something good, you know, a particular use case for this. Thank you.